I truly believe this, guys, when I say it. Like, we are the champion of our own story. And I truly believe you can rewrite your past. You can believe a lie if you say it over and over again, you know? So whatever shit you went through in the past, you can turn that into victories, man. And I've overcame everything bad that happened to me.
Today, on the second episode of the pod, we welcome our friend, comedian, actor, Amos Blackmon. You don't want to miss this conversation. This is Dude Better.
Wow, this is gonna go down as legendary, man. When people go back and they look through your catalog and you guys have thousands of, interviews and all that jazz. People like, hey, who's our first interview? Who was that first person on that podcast? Oh, it was Blackman? That's wild.
But for those of you who don't know James was a really good friend of Andrew's and I's growing up. And in our inner circle and in our outer circle, James is the guy that you can put in the room and he'll have everybody laughing in the room. So if there's anyone that I would look at to be like, hey, that man's going to be a comedian someday, it was going to be James. So James, I know when you moved to LA early in your career, I guess we can call it a career, but you were just a kid.
Yeah.
But when you
yeah.
moved to LA, what was it? Did you try to pursue comedy or did you jump right into commercials? Like, what was your game plan?
So I actually didn't have a real game plan. So let me start with this. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 19. And I only left because I was back home. When we were all in high school, in the senior year, everyone you have a idea of where you're going. You have something planned. And I thought I knew what I was doing. I'll save you the details, but I was supposed to run track at ISU. Some things happened with NCAA. I was at my
And
friend
ISU, is that Illinois State University?
Illinois State University. I was at my buddy's Kevin house. He was having a party, and the only person that saw this, I got a phone call from Coach Ford. Went upstairs with my friend Kyle, and he saw me in this. We were in this pantry where my friend Kevin kept his, cereal and all that shit. And I started tearing up. The only person that ever witnessed that was my boy Kyle, because he went up there with me. And like, it was one of those surreal moments because I realized, like, damn, I can't even go there. And it happened in the summer, so it was last minute. So Coach Ford told me, maybe you should go to Harper, then transfer. So I started doing some track and field stuff there. We ran like before the season started, and I realized, like, damn it, I hate this. Like, I don't want to do this. And so I started doing
And Harper is that community college, right? Right outside of Chicago?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so I lost the love just for running. And so I know to a lot of my friends and family, it seemed like I left abruptly, but like I've already checked out. Like I was already done. I knew I wouldn't want to do that stuff. And I ended up leaving because I'd started doing things. I don't need to say the name, but I did a lot of competitions in Chicago, on the north side of Chicago, where I would do these acting classes, these acting workshops. I would do stand-up, and I found out I was good at it. I did it because I was bored and I didn't want to be at the house. And then I'd start winning. And I did improv, not stand-up at the time. And when I got to like a comfortable level, I think I can do this. Long story short, I did this workshop. I signed with an agent that was there. They told me, hey, you might have to move out to LA because it's going to be pretty hard going from Chicago to LA. So I said, all right, I can do that next month. And they're like, okay. So I told all my friends, like, yeah, I'm moving to LA.
Wait, so you were sitting here in Chicago as a teenager, and you signed a contract with an agent?
Yeah, because I did this thing where um, I went on stage, I did a monologue. There was a competition, took third. A big agency was there. I was still 18 at the time. Actually, I was on my 19th birthday.
So wait, you're telling me you got a contract based on one workshop performance?
Well, I mean, I rehearsed it for months, and it was a class, and um, my coaches and teachers talked me up, so they knew what they were getting themselves into. And it was like back in the day, they used to have these workshops where the agents would go there to find new talent. Um, and yeah, I was hot on the right day, and so that's why I left abruptly. I just left Chicago and went straight to LA. For those who don't know.
I remember that, James, because we were all like, we're going to this college. We're going to this college. Like,
Yeah.
we were kind of following the path that our parents had laid out for us of
Mm-hmm.
what we're supposed to do after we graduate high school. And so I remember a bunch of people looking at you and they were like, what is this guy doing? He's
Yeah.
not going to make it.
I thought,
There was so much hate.
dude, there was a lot of hate. There was even in my own family, people were like, what do you mean you're about to drop out of college and go to LA to be an actor? Y'all, if people see me now like they're giving me love, if you knew how much fucking hate I got back in the day for that and saying it was a bad move and the percentage and the statistics of people that don't make it, like I'm wasting my time. Not just friends and friends of friends. I'm talking family. Like I'm talking everyone I knew was like, dude, that's impossible. Like, don't do that. That's stupid. And in the back of my mind, yeah, I still remember that. I still remember people that said some of the shit that they said. Because it's like, that's maybe impossible for you, but don't project that onto me. Like, I'm still about to go shoot my shot and see if it goes in.
James, so the likelihood of somebody moving out to LA, becoming successful in acting, comedy, whatever it is like less than 1%. So knowing that, moving out to LA, like what makes you crazy enough to go and try to be successful in LA? I mean, coming from my perspective, my confidence is just not there. That's just not something I can do. And I think most people, or this, at least the science says that, people don't do things a lot of the time, not because they're lazy, but because of anxiety and because of lack of self-confidence. So how are you somebody who just blocks that out, is fearless, who literally you can't have self-doubt to go and do what you are trying to do? Help us unpack that.
There's multiple things, right? Like, because again, you're right. You have to be crazy enough to believe in yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Like, you can have a significant loved one, you can have family, parents, kids. No one's really going to believe in you the way you believe in you. And that's just a fact, Jack. Like, you have to believe in you more than anything, because at the end of the day, if you're not right within, you can't help anybody with outside, right? So it's like, I knew and I had so much faith in myself that I can do it. I'm also really competitive and kind of crazy. I live in my own universe. I live in my own world, man. Like, so what you see, I don't see it the same way. But that's also because the way I learn and perceive things it's a little bit different than most people. So we can look at the same picture. I'm telling you, I'm looking at it completely different. And that's kind of where my comedy comes in. So when I come out here and everyone's like, well, no one makes it in acting. I'm like, says the fuck who? Like, who says this? Well, statistics, but who are these people? They never had my background. They didn't have my childhood. They never had my experience. So you're saying that from your perspective, I don't have to subscribe to that, and I will never subscribe to that. So that's why I think personally, I've made it this far and I'm continuing to keep growing, is because I just don't, I don't accept things as fact like some people do.
Right.
That's it.
What I find hilarious is that the people that you see at the top, and I'm talking CEOs of companies, I'm talking professional athletes, I'm talking professional actors, right? The people that you see at the top, rarely did they follow that playbook that someone else put out there that says, hey, here's how you become a professional athlete, or here's how you become a professional actor. And so it's, I couldn't agree more the route that you've taken or that mindset that you had, but it's so hard to see that when you're such a kid, when you're a kid and you don't have that level of visibility into what it actually takes to get there. You're just listening to other people. And a lot of the times you're listening to people that have never been there, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Um, one thing one thing that hit me hard was you said some of the experiences you had in your childhood is what led you to uh, having that mindset, right?
Hmm.
What were those experiences?
So there's a lot. I don't know how much time we have. Um,
You have 5 hours.
okay, so because I can talk all day. Um, I just think perseverance, right? Like we are the champion of our own story, and I truly believe you can rewrite your past. You can believe a lie if you say it over and over again, you know. So whatever shit you went through in the past, you can turn that into victories, man. And I've overcame everything bad that happened to me. I don't have to go into details, but I think for those who don't know, I had a tough childhood to say the least. And it's taught me how to adapt. I remember in middle school, a lot of people don't know. I moved 4 different times into 3 different middle schools within like 2.5 years, you know. So that kept me being like I had to make friends over and over again. You got to be sharp. Uh, I went from a black school to like 98% white. So like the difference was crazy. So I had to learn how to.
And we were the 2%, right?
Yeah, literally. Like I had to learn how to change who I was. And I remember, man, I've always been a funny guy. That's like how I cope with shit. I remember like when went to like this new school, everyone was like, "That's not funny." I was like, "What?" And then like I learned how to adapt my comedy because you have comedy in different like white comedy, black comedy, like it's a thing. And I went back home to go visit my friends. They're like, "Bro, this shit's whack as. What are you talking about? Man? You got white people jokes." It hit me at that moment. I was like, "Oh shit, there's a difference." Like at that moment in middle school, that's when I remembered. Like I think that was the point where I said, "Okay, let me sharpen my tools in every avenue." And I've always been really good at meeting friends because I'm like the king extrovert. And so I had to be when I look back at it, I had to learn how to get friends. I'm going to move again. Let's see if I can meet someone. But like small things like that, right? Like, or if something really bad happened to me, I wouldn't dread over it. I would take the shit on the chin, acknowledge it, and keep it pushing. And so fast forward when it's time to become an actor, yeah, you take a lot of losses. You take a lot. You know, you get a lot of rejections. You get a lot of no's. It's the only field where someone can openly say, "You're not tall enough. You're too short. You're too dark. Your hair is too nappy. Your nose is too wide." Like they can actually say this. Like you hear these things. Your voice sounds weird.
And it be legal.
And it be legal. Yeah. Have you ever had a job interview where someone's like, "Nah, you're too fat for it. You're too white for it." That happens every day in my interviews.
Yeah, third grade football.
Hey,
Third grade football. I was a striper. They said you can only play offensive line because you're too fat.
a professional interview. They have a lawsuit so fast, you would sue them for all of their money.
You have paved a path that's anything but ordinary. And I'm sure moving out to LA and just being so different in your lifestyle than the people you grew up with has to be, in some ways, super lonely. How has this affected your friendships with your quote unquote normal friends like us? And is it true what they say that you can't find real friends in LA?
Okay, so I've always hated that trope about Los Angeles. Like everyone's fake. You can't find real friends here. I've always hated that. I've been here for over 10 years. And some of these guys are my best friends. I think both of you may even met a few of these guys. Some of the realest people you'll meet. right? Like there's fake people in every city, right? Like if you want to find a bad crowd or bad circle, you'll find that circle in almost every city in America. I feel you gravitate toward your tribe, right? Like I feel like whatever you're looking for, you'll find. And I like to think that I give off realness. So like the people that are surrounding me are real. I like to think I'm a good judge of character. So the people that I surround myself with are people that I'm inspired by, motivated by, people that push me, people want the best for me. Like when I get in the room and I see my boys and I'm like happy to see these fools, I'm like, yeah, that's someone I want in my camp. I'm smiling as soon as I see, oh, that's my boy. That's real shit. Now, if you go looking for the superficial stuff, you will 1,000% find that as well. Thousands of people move to Los Angeles a day. So, like if you want to find that, you will find that. Trust me. But you'll find that in Chicago. You'll find that in New York. You'll find that in Texas. So that's why you just kind of like whatever. When I was a shit show younger, yeah, I'm going to be around a bunch of people that are nuts. Now that I'm older and I know what to look for, I'll gravitate toward those people. But I think my boys back home in Chicago, that's like, I like to say that's my anger. Those are people that like hold me down. Those are people, I don't want to say no, the real me, because I feel like we're always and forever changing and we should be evolving. But they know the core and they don't hold me to who I used to be. But we know as we get older, it definitely shrinks. That your circle becomes smaller. People lose, we get out of, we don't stay in touch as much as we should. But the real ones, like that core, your boys, like they'll always be there for you. And that's something deeper. That's something I think that transcend, you know, time and wherever you're staying, distance. But I truly feel like when I go back home, like it's a sense of happiness, It's like, fuck, I just miss this mundane life of. And I think it has nothing to do with Los Angeles, Chicago. It just has to do with someone outside of my area that y'all don't know what California is. You don't care about the stuff that like we care about here, and vice versa. I love it when I go back to home and I come back here, and my friends in California aren't like, so what is this? Like I hate driving in snow and scraping off the ice on my thing. Like we bitch about a lot of stuff in Chicago. We bitch about a lot of stuff.
That was one of the biggest things that I recognized hanging out with your friends in LA. It's like, damn, I have nothing in common with these guys. You guys are talking about, yeah, I did this audition the other day and this went well, this didn't go well. I'm like, yo, I don't even know how to conversate with these LA folks. Like the topics of conversation are just so different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that though, man. Because I learned so much from so many other people. Like I never really knew what a consultant did until back AB had like got a job, and I'm like, wow, so that's what you do? But now I know so much stuff. Like I never knew anyone that worked at an airline. And then AC was like, yeah, no, this is actually what I do. I was like, wait, what? You're speaking Spanish to me right now, dog. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. But at times you keep your work friends. I don't know. For me, I've always found myself keeping my work friends just a little bit separate.
Mm-hmm.
I like what you said in that your friends from back home or the people that you grew up with, they knew the real you. They knew you before you put on that actor hat or before you put on that airline hat or before you put on that consultant hat. And that's your anchor. Those are the guys that you can look to for anything personally. But the people that I've met with at work, there's always been this like code switch in my mind that like, yeah, we talk about the work stuff.
Yeah.
We talk about the deliverables that are due next week and like and office politics are the things that we'll talk about. So it sounds like it's just another job, but do you think that these guys are like real lifelong friends, or do you think they're more like work friends that come in phases?
Okay, so I do have to go back to what you said earlier. So when I say anchor and like my home base, and because they know me, it's not that they know the real me. It's to, in essence, they know the core that started me. Because I do think we're changing, and the most important part of that statement that I said that you rephrased, it's they allow you to change. They don't hold you to who you used to be. that to me is a real friend, right? Because I have family members that they talk to me like I'm still the old Jamie. Like, you know him, he always does this. It's like, no, bitch, I've grown. I'm not that person anymore. And please allow me to grow, right? Like, I used to lie a lot in middle school and high school. I don't know why. I just lied a lot. I would tell small fibs. That's not me anymore. I've grown out of that stage. I just don't care to lie anymore in the sense of like, fuck, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't care about your opinion. So it's like, if I lie, yeah, I did it. What are you gonna do? So like, that's my mentality now. Back then, I'd always be like, okay, let me make everyone happy. But it's just not me anymore. So if you know that version of me and you still think that's me, and I tell you constantly that's not me, that's not a real friend. That's someone that still wants me to be that small kid that I was. I'm not that anymore. So most importantly, they know the core of like that person, that innocence that I had before I became who I am now, but also allow me to grow. So I had to say that first. And yes, I personally, with baby, I have had a lot of work friends, but I find my tribe within work. I find the people that are similar to me, same ideals, and people that I vibe with, because I'll find those people anywhere on this earth. Found it in Ireland. Found people just like me. So yeah, I'll say some of these people are going to be my wedding. These are my lifelong friends. I don't talk to people that I get nothing from. I meaning substance. I don't add to my soul. I just don't waste my time like that. I don't need new friends. I have too many actually. So, so I just
he said he has
being
too many friends.
being dead as
We were over here on the first podcast, like we didn't know how to make any friends our first couple of years. James was like, I got too many.
When you go to your 6th birthday party in the same month, you realize I think this is getting out of hand. Like I gotta start cutting some people out of my life today. Like I'm an extrovert. I love people. I fucking love people. I love talking. I love talking to strangers. Remember, I used to bartend. I love talking to strangers, and they'd come in and tell me crazy stories. I'm like, this is wild. I gotta go on stage and talk about this. I love people. I'm rare. I'm a rare person though. But then you start talking to people, and then you become best friends, and then becomes overwhelming because you're like, listen, dude, no, I don't want to go to your bar mitzvah.
So, James, one thing I've noticed about myself is as I get into my early 30s, I am exhausted from just being around people, the day-to-day meetings and events. I once considered myself an extrovert, and now I really consider myself an introvert. I really value that time alone or that one-on-one time with people, but I'm absolutely exhausted when I'm around a group of people for a long period of time. You are around people 24/7, it seems like, based on your Instagram. I mean, you're an actor. You are putting yourself out there all the time. I mean, the more time that you are out there being visible, the better off you're going to be for your career. And I'm sure at some point that can get exhausting, but it sure doesn't seem like it. And I know you also, on top of that, run 8 miles a day. So, like, how do you stay focused and energized? And is there some secret drug? Because I really want to know that secret, how you can stay on all the time. So tell us about that.
Because I run 8 miles a day. No, I'm kidding. Man, no, you're right. But everything, it's balance in life. Everything is balance. Everything. So some days I go ghost. Some days I need to be around people. I've also, I've had mad ADHD, pretty bad ADD. I just like being out. People look at it like, oh my God, you're so sporadic. It's like, no, bitch, I just can't stay in the house. Let's go to the beach. Let's go. I've always been like that. I think I'm always gonna be like that. My dad was like that till the day he died. And I'm like, well, that's how I'm gonna be. Like, this man was wild, like going around and just very talkative. He's been like that since he was a kid. His dad was like that. I see it in myself because even when I want to stay still, I can't. Like, no matter how hard, like I force myself to just stay in the house. No matter how hard I try to stay, it's like, fuck, man. Like, So I go on a lot of walks. Actually, I've learned to not just go out. I've learned to train myself when I feel like that. I go on walks. So going like, if you ask anyone that knows me, like even one of my boys, Luca, he'll tell you like, dude, I'll just leave and go on like a 40-minute walk. I deal with Baxter a lot at AB. I talk to him on the phone and I'm walking around my neighborhood because I get really antsy where I just need to move. So I call people and I go on walks. Like it can happen at 1 a.m, happens 6 a.m, 4 p.m, whenever. So I've learned to do that instead of going around people because I know that feeling doesn't mean I want to go out and party. It just means I need to leave my house. But I've always been like that, and that's who I am. So as far as partying, though, I mean, I've learned. I will say, Los Angeles has taught me how to network and like how to properly network. You sometimes when you need to drink, you go out there, show face, and do an Irish goodbye. You're good. But yeah, that's more of the business side.
So JB, I mean James, I mean Amos. So you got a lot of names.
All right, I'll ask the
Some of them
fucking
are
question.
nicknames. Some of them are real names. Um, how did you come up with Amos? Because I know growing up it was like JB, it was Blackmon, it was James, and then Amos kind of came out of nowhere. And I think your middle name is Allen, no? Which was the same as my name.
All right. So let me tell y'all, I didn't make up Amos. It's actually my middle name. Like no one
I thought
else.
your middle name was Allen.
It is. I have two middle names. My name is James Allen. Yeah.
Wait. Is Andrew also a middle name?
No, it's not.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, fine.
Sorry. My middle name is James. My name is James Allen Amos Blackmon. Right? People actually used to call me Amos back in the day, like middle school. So, look, quick backstory. Graduating Jack London Middle School, we were doing a rehearsal for our walkthroughs or whatever. AB went to the same middle school as me, graduated from that school. I don't know if you remember this, but the person reading my name goes, James Allen Amos Blackmon. Everyone erupted in laughter, crying. Just Anus losing their shit. I'm over here yelling out, it's Amos! Like, I'm livid, bro. Like, you had one job, and now everyone's calling me Anus? Oh, I'm a murderer. I knew the kid. I'm gonna murder you. I wrapped that shit up real fast. Hey, scratch it. Don't dare. When game day of, if you say Amos, I'm gonna smack this. I was pissed. Yeah, so we 86 Amos real fast. Which is funny because that's my grandpa's name, dog. Like, I was named after my granddad. So yeah, I told them when actual graduation, I'm like, don't call me that. Actually, from now on, no one call me that, or I'll punch you in the face. So that's how that ended. Fast forward, my name is James. Okay, forget the number or rank or whatever, but that's one of the most common names in the world besides Muhammad. So you can obviously imagine.
It's biblical.
I think Muhammad is the most famous name in the entire world.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's the number one name in the world.
But I heard Anus is second.
Yo, no, first of all, you'd be surprised on how many people don't have that name. And you know, when you're in this game that I'm in, everything's competitive. So you need to stand out. And just going in, it's like, James Lucas, you're up next. James Smith, you're on deck, and James Blackmon, be ready. Yeah, okay. I think I need to change my fucking name because there's 1,000 Jameses in here. And so that was like the mindset of it. And I was like, well, I'll just go by my middle name because there can't be that many Amoses. So let's do it.
Wait, so are you legally Amos Blackmon?
Yeah, that's my name.
Like on your driver's license?
Yes.
So you really used it as a pathway to differentiate yourself. as you're trying to make your name in Hollywood. You're like, there's a million Jameses out there, but only one Amos. That was the play?
Isn't that a beautiful analogy when you think about it? In middle school, I ran away from it because it made me stand out too much, and I wanted to fit in because, when we're growing up, we don't want to be different. As I got older in my field, I wanted to stand out because I didn't want to be like everyone else. So the one name that changed and shaped who I was ended up defining me for real, if you think about it.
That's interesting because my life was the opposite. Like, I don't know if you remember me back in high school and middle school, black hair, girl jeans, going to rock shows. Like, I wanted to be as different as possible. Now, like, I make fun of myself of, of who I was back then. And I'm trying to fit in with everybody now. So that's probably why I'm not an actor in Los Angeles right now in commercials.
There's probably many more reasons on why you're not doing that, but yeah.
Jesus, dude.
That's good.
But
That's
yeah,
good.
we'll say that. Yeah, man. And I feel like as kids in our youth, you kind of want to fit in unless you have that like that urge to be different. I never wanted to be different, but also I am different. There was no one that looked like me. I didn't need to try. I was different. I'm the only black dude with a fucking afro. I think I got that one covered, like, so I don't know, but I could see your thing, wanting to stand out, be different. I don't think AB and I had to try hard to be different.
No, it was easy. But I will say this though. Right now, I wear my hair. My hair is nappy all the time. I'll fade the sides, but I'll keep the top of my hair high.
Hmm.
And as a kid, I wouldn't do that because it it wasn't what was expected of me. What's the right way to say this? It wasn't.
The
It
status
wasn't
quo.
accepted. It wasn't the status quo. It wasn't like what a black man should do.
Yeah.
And so I kept my hair like really cut short and tight and tried to fit in with everybody else. But like now, I don't know if it's 2022, if it's the year or whatever it is, like it's more acceptable um to keep my hair like this. But I was keeping my hair like this before it became acceptable because I hit that moment, just like you're saying you hit, where you're like, I want to own who I am and
Hmm.
this is what I care about, and I'm gonna live my life to the greatest.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna tell me not to.
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
and to take that a step further, I mean, I had the privilege, I guess you could say, I don't know if that's the right word, but as one of the 99% white kids that went to our high school and the added benefit of being a male, like I had that ability to be able to feel like comfortable trying to be somebody else because I was just the normal, I guess you could say. And so like looking at it from like I can't imagine it coming from your perspective because in your perspective it's you're already standing out. How do I fit in with the rest of the
Here,
kids?
I don't know if you remember this. Andrew, you probably won't remember this as much, but like I had long hair middle school to high school, but I cut it freshman
You had
year.
braids, little
Yeah,
Romeo.
I had braids, bro. People were touching it, and they're like, "Little Bow Wow," all this shit, and it stood out. I stood out like a sore thumb. Um, and I'm just now kind of like acclimating in this like culture and shit. So I actually cut my hair because our football coach Roberts at the time was like, "Listen, if you want to ever have a chance to start, you got to get rid of what's on your head. That's unacceptable." So I ended up cutting my hair because a coach told me to. I think about that now. That shit would never fly. Like that would never fly. Yeah, I didn't want to cut my hair at all, but I wanted to start. I wanted to play. But they didn't get it. That especially that age range, they didn't get it for sure. That's why I love what these new kids are growing up into such an accepting society. I feel like it's a bit better.
I went to a high school jazz concert the other day. Every every kid had long, wavy hair. Like I went back to my pictures. I'm like, that was me back in the day trying to be different, growing my hair out. And now it's like the Beatles all over again. It's back. It's great though that people can be themselves.
That was unprofessional back in the day. That was
Yeah.
like you can't go into a job interview like that. Like the way my hair is now, when I first was interviewing for jobs, I bet you someone would have told me that like you can't go into your job interview like that. That's a shame.
You know, they have a law about that. There's a law. It's a discrimination bill. It's called the Crown Act. So you can't even discriminate off hair anymore, which I love, man. Like there are like a lot of viral videos going. Some people are at swim meets and like they have to take their braids out or if they have to cut it. I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, it's just hair. There's no way we're still here in 2022. There's no way.
I'm sorry though, because there's still the unconscious bias there.
1000%.
And there's people that are still going to judge you, and they're still not going to give you that job or let you into that school because of the way that you look. And like they might say it's because, oh, your grades aren't good enough, or oh, you don't have enough experience. But like, there's a real reason.
We
in
know
their mind why
we know
not.
the undertone for sure. I can guarantee you it has nothing to do with hair.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be vulnerable here. Before like I understood that just there's different types of hair, and in order to keep it together, there's certain things you can do with it, like braids and dreadlocks. And like I didn't understand that at first. And then everybody is, saying that people with dreadlocks, equating that to like gangsters or like gangs or like people in the hood, that type of thing. And, it wasn't until my like probably like late high school, like college years when I started like understanding that there's a reason for that. But definitely still unconscious bias there. I mean, I hear people say things all the time about people's hair.
Yeah, but it was never, stereotypes been put on a bunch of people, like go look at all the gangsters. You think they all have short buzz cuts, or they all have a fade, or, or they have long blonde hair, or, what is a gangster nowadays? That's why it comes from something deeper.
Yeah, the worst people on earth now are like white men with crew cuts that go and shoot up schools.
Yeah, I don't even want to say the worst people. Everyone's bad. Everyone has their own shit, And
everyone's good though. And everyone's good. And I'm a big believer that there's more good people in this world than there are bad people.
I like to believe that as well.
I believe that in the truest of my heart.
I like to believe that as well.
With social media, with how easy it is to access and disperse information, we hear the bad stuff more, right?
Yeah.
Because it pulls on that string that's like, hey, listen to me, look at me. It pulls on that string.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hear that stuff more often. But I think the reality is I truly believe this. There are more good people in this world than there are bad people.
Well, I always have this discussion, man. It's like, also define a bad person. What's a bad person? I don't believe in bad people. I believe people have moments of weakness where they do bad things, or maybe they're mentally unstable. But what's a bad person? Can we even define evil or good? I like to believe for the most part we have good intentions. And sometimes we're misled, or sometimes circumstances make us do things. If you're fucking starving and your kid's hungry and you want to feed them, you're going to probably do a bad thing for the means, right? Like you're going to try to do something to feed them. That's what people don't understand. Me growing up in that environment, it's like, bro, you don't know what you'll do until you're there and you're in that moment and you need to eat.
What I did want to jump into next was, we talked a little bit about how you made the decision to get into acting, but like, talk us through those first couple of years in LA. Like, what was that experience like?
Man, dude, I always say, actually, let me start here. I first moved here, it was a little rough because I didn't have friends. So that was hard because it was also, by the way, a culture shock, man. I just want to let everyone know Black people are not a monolith. We don't all talk, think, or have the same values. And I'm telling you now, man, when you come to Los Angeles from the Midwest as a Black person and you think you about to get a Black person that you used to, you're sorely mistaken. Man, it was one of the biggest culture shocks of my life. It was equivalent when I would go visit my family down the South. And like they would give us shit like, man, I don't even know them boys up there. Them city boys are. It was literally the same thing. So it was tough. It was tough when I first moved here to make friends. I had to adjust. But I was doing a lot of stand up when I got here. I was doing a lot of open mics, trying to get shows. I was doing stand up maybe twice a day, 3, 4 times a week. That's how I met a lot of people.
And you were also sleeping on your aunt's couch, right? I
Yeah,
mean, when you
yeah,
came to LA, it wasn't like, all right, I'm set up. Like you were 18, 19 years old and you were sleeping on your aunt's couch and you're like, this is it.
dude, just grinding, trying to figure it out. I didn't know anything in the city. I didn't know anyone. Like, I didn't plan that far. My agent said, hey, come out. And I was like, bet. Got here. And even when you have an agent, like, shit is not guaranteed. Like, you still got to go out and audition and book the role. And I was a small fish in a big pond at the time. So, uh, it was tough, dude. Like, I'm not going to lie. It was, because I always grew up competing. So I never lost that edge. But this game is completely different, man. Like, this shit will change you. It will make you a monster. So I definitely had to level up, and I had to turn on savage mode. Like, you don't know how much you want something until you are away from the nest, Like, I believe you got to get away from the nest, find out who you are.
You mentioned 10 years in the
Hmm.
industry at this point.
Hmm.
I think it's a little bit over 10 years actually.
It's
But
about 11, yeah.
yeah, 11 years. You started on your aunt's couch and now you're ending up with 60 plus commercials and you've done stand-up comedy. You've opened up for some pretty big names. You've done what a lot of people would say, oh my gosh, this man made it. He's successful. But that in between time, like that is not all roses and lily fields,
No.
right? That is it is a pain. And I think that's what would be interesting for people to hear is like, how do you keep your eye on the prize while you're not necessarily yielding the fruit that you expected to yield during those in between years?
So that's actually a great question, man. I'll say this. Yeah, no matter how simple this sounds, it's so true, dude. You have to love the process. Like, you literally have to enjoy the process because that's really the only thing that's guaranteed. So if you don't love doing what you do, every day I woke up trying to get this shit grinded. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, I'm doing it. I get to live this life. I love that stuff. Yeah, what you're talking about, the credentials, it's great, dope. When I book a gig, I'm on set, it's fun. That's one aspect of what I do. But the other thing is I have to love auditioning. I have to love going out, winning the job. It's the hunt. I love the hunt. So it's definitely enjoying the process, man. I've been saying this before Joel Embiid went to the 76ers. I'll let you know that right now. Because that's the only thing you can do. You got to trust it and enjoy it. And you just got to take step by step. If you look like, man, I need to be on movies and TV shows and book this many commercials, you're probably going to fail. Because that shit's overwhelming for anything. That's overwhelming for anyone. And so I truly feel like I never really thought about it like that. I'm like, as long as I can take it day by day, class by class, audition by audition, one of these bitches gonna hit and I'm gonna make it to the top. But I ain't gotta worry about the top right now as long as I'm having fun doing what I do. Since I've been here, I have enjoyed my life so damn much that, like, obviously I wasn't all perfect, but every day I wake up, I'm like, dude, I live in Los Angeles. I know where I come from. I get to go to the beach when I'm sad. I get to audition and make a living for things that, like, I get to pretend to be different people. This is it. I remind myself that every day. Gratitude every day, every freaking day, dude. And
And you said make a living though.
Hmm.
And that's such a key word there because 10, 11 years later, you are making a living doing this, but you haven't always
No, I used to
made a living
bartend.
doing this. Yeah.
No, I used to bartend, but I love bartending, right? Like no matter what job I do, I'm gonna love it because I know I have a goal. I forget what they say, but they say people live longer when they have goals and things they're actually trying to achieve compared to those who have a mundane life of something. They just clock in and work for someone else. I forget the actual statistic or what the thing is. But I truly feel like I wake up and I have a purpose. Like I have something that I need to do. I need to accomplish. I don't think I'll ever have accomplished all of my things that I want to do. Because I feel like if that day ever happens, I'm probably gonna die the next day. Like, but that will never happen. Because I have so much shit I need to do. And I don't think you can never accomplish what I want to accomplish in a lifetime, but I'm gonna shoot for it.
Amos, I want to hit on something because I think that there's a huge lesson here that applies to people in all industries and just in their regular lives. So, what I heard was it's not all about the movies. It's not about the slam dunks in the basketball game. It's taking that layup. It's enjoying the layup. It's enjoying the fundamentals of the day to day of whatever goal you're after. And so if you can apply that to your life in anything, you don't have to be an actor. It doesn't have to be the stars. I mean, it can be just any goal that you whether it's in work or in life, learning how to enjoy or at least appreciate the process day to day and doing things to tweak that to make it a little bit more of a pleasant experience, I guess, and just or changing your mindset and not going for the big goals, but attacking those small steps that get you there on your lifelong journey to meet those goals. And I think that's an amazing takeaway from what you we're just saying.
That's any field, by the way. Like it just happens that I'm in the entertainment field, and I guess for some reason it's more glorified than other things. But like, if you think about even what you two do, man, like A, needed, B, hard as fudge to get into and to be where you are. But I guarantee if both of you woke up every day, and I mean dread it, because some people like, nah, some days are harder than others. But if you absolutely hated your job, we've all had one of those jobs in our day where you're just like, I don't even want to go in. Maybe the boss is a dick, or you're not gonna last long there. I know a lot of people that stay in those, but yeah, you are dead inside. So I know you have to have that one thing inside, whatever it is. It's like, my company needs me. Like, trust me, they need me. And that makes you wake up. That makes you want to get in every day. And that's that one thing that you do every day where you're building on a certain client or you have this new thing that you have to do. You're in charge of your own crew. They look up to you. It's something there that you wake up every day and you're like, yeah, I love this. It's not just acting.
You know, that's such an interesting concept because I don't know if I wake up every day and I look at my job and I'm like, my company needs me and there's a reason why I'm here for
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
I would say the reason why I'm here is to build enough. I'm trying to stay away from the word wealth because I don't think that's the right word to say. But is to build enough of a
Well, I
foundation.
mean, you need revenue to build your future.
Yeah. So let's use foundation. It's to build enough foundation for me to go out in the world and do something that is as creative as it is that you're doing, right? Because I do feel that like if I were to leave my job tomorrow, there would be a job posting out the next day.
Yep. Yep.
And 2 weeks later, there would be a backfill for me that is probably more credentialed than I am. Like, I'm a dime a dozen. And I think what's really cool about your field is that you get to control your narrative and control your brand in a way that you can build what it is that you want to build. You have the creative rights at the end of the day. But when you clock in and clock out to a job, I feel like, you
But
don't really get that same opportunity.
I want to tell you something right now, though. What you just said, you just explained my same thing, right? Like you are clocking in right now so that you can build for something that you want to do in the future, right?
Yes, which may or may not, more often not, be related to what I'm doing right now.
Exactly. I was clocking in as a bartender to make enough money so that I can do what I'm doing now. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
So we
Yep.
all do it. We all put the hours in at one place so we can build enough foundation so that we can like feel comfortable to take that leap. Even if I want to take it a step further, I'm clocking in all these hours for these commercials so that I can actually do what I want to do. Maybe like start my own production company. You know what I mean? So we're always
Mm.
doing it. We're always going to do it because if you still, I mean, passions change, you know? I love this shit right now. Hopefully I love it in 30 years, but hopefully I have enough money because if I don't, I can do what I want to do. I want to start a bunch of boys and girls clubs. I want to go back to Chicago and open them up and put them in the hood. Like that's another passion. So that's not a bad thing per se.
What I'm hearing is it's not about what the goal is or even why you have the goal. It's about having the goal. It's about having the end game and applying every single day towards that goal. So you don't have to love it, but you need to have something that you do love that or that you want in the future, and you got to want it bad enough to push forward on the days when you don't want to.
Exactly. I personally like to tell people like you need your why. Like you need to think of your why and it needs to be strong and it needs to make sure you need to, I mean, the toughest days, when you think about that why, you get your ass out of bed and get to work, right? Like we may not have everything we want right now, maybe working a job that we fucking hate, but that why, dude, that why will get you up. That why will get you on the track.
So I have to say, you're talking about the why, and it like that really resonates with me because at American Airlines, my company, they've done a whole push for building our American why, which is taking care of people on life's journey. But anyways, Simon Sinek wrote a book called Starts With Why. And like that's I've been drinking that Kool-Aid of having this why, but I have to tell you, and I've been thinking about this um, as you're talking, is I actually do think about that every day when I'm doing something minute or I'm doing something tedious or I'm not having a great day or like I don't know where this fits into the goal of the mission of the company, the why of the company. And I go back to that, like taking care of people on life's journey. And it just, for whatever reason, that hits me. And it hits me deep. And I remember kind of why I'm doing this. So I think that's key too. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this job? And then it goes back to that goal, that dream, that vision that you have in your life and waking up every day and going after it.
1,000,000%, man. I agree.
What it also says is that, you have that target, you have that vision, which I think isn't hard enough to find on its own, right? But we talk about the ups and downs between where you started and where you are now and where you want to go. It's like, how do you build that vision into your day-to-day life? How do you allow that to continue to motivate you to grow, to continue to build upon, even when there are downs, right? Even when there is a failure, it's like, yes, I failed in this task, but I have definitely not failed in getting to that ultimate vision of where I'm trying to go. And so that's big. that's big. That's it's hard to see when you're kind of in the moment and you're in the day to day and you're JB auditioning for something that you're like, this is my ticket, and all of a sudden you don't get it. It's like, doesn't mean that you didn't achieve your vision. It's like it means that you missed out on this opportunity. But maybe you met a producer that was sitting in that room, that the next audition you go to, they're going to remember your face and they're going to say, wow, this man really killed it. And they're going to give you a job that's bigger than you could have ever imagined.
What you just said right now, so I'm not going to say my friend's name. We all know him. Very big, right? He got an opportunity. People don't know this. This guy booked one of the biggest speaking roles on his commercial by failing in another audition and not even booking it. And it was only for a $3,000 gig. And because the director in the room liked who he was, brought him back in the future for a spokesman, and he booked one of the biggest things of his life. Now a multimillionaire because of it. So there is no such thing as a missed opportunity. If you book the room and win the room, you can make anything into a positive outcome for yourself. And I wanted to say earlier as well to Kohler, it is for me. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like when you truly think about your why and it's bigger than yourself, I think you can do anything in this world. I really do. We fight hardest for those that we love, and I'm a strong believer on that. You win wars like that, actually. When it's selfish. I have a lot of friends who they got into acting and they blew up fast, but they were here for money. 1,000% they'll tell you, I was here for money. Don't last. Never last. Always get bored of it or find a new hobby or new goal. And that was never me. I don't really care about money. I was poor. I don't care. I'm not afraid of that shit. It doesn't put fear in my heart. I don't care about that. I do care about helping my family. I care about putting a smile on people's face. That's why I wake up, because I know I needed that when I was younger. So I want to pay it forward, if you will.
So, JB, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. I hope to have you back in the future because it's such a good conversation. So good to hear a different perspective from different people that are experiencing different things.
It's been a blast, and thank you so much. But before we close it out, can you give us maybe a sneak preview of what you're working on?
First of all, if you aren't following me already, you can follow me at Amos Blackmon on Instagram and all other platforms. AMOS Blackmon, BLACKMON. As far as television commercials got a Microsoft commercial coming out here the next couple of weeks. I have another one for care.com. That's a campaign that we'll be running. So look out for that. Tag me in it if you see it. Also, I don't know when I'm going back on 911, but I'll be back in the next season. So take a look for that. Take a look out for that. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I got going on right now. Got a couple of projects in the can, but I can't talk about that, unfortunately, because of NDAs. But as far as things
Come on.
I'm too afraid of NDAs. I'm too afraid.
We have like 4 listeners.
Don't matter, man. Y'all gonna blow up.
It is very exciting to have you a part of this, JB, because we are trying to build something that, in our childhood, we didn't quite have the outlets to do this.
No.
And a lot of times we felt like we were navigating this stuff on our own, and we were figuring out what was right and wrong by failure. A lot of the times it was failure. And we've landed in a really good space because of that. But I guess what we've learned throughout these years is that the more, and even through our relationship, it's JB, it's like the more we're able to talk and communicate and express how we're feeling and learn from each other, the better off we are. The more we excel and we can really build on top of each other. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish here is, that continual growth as individual, as males, as anyone. So thanks for coming. It's awesome to have you here. I know we're going to have you here more again because your life is a lot more exciting than ours.